I'll take that off and then we'll pop the main slides on at the moment. Okay, so this is as Mandy mentioned, this is a Masterclass supporting AI support planning and delivery, and we wanted that to be as active as possible. So the idea is that hopefully you can sort of try things out today. We've only got an hour together, but I'm on email. My email's on the screen, rob.howe, Northampton AC UK, if you want to contact me afterwards on any other little elements from this. So first of all, I'm just trying to get a feel about where you are on AI. So again, we can use the chat window if you want to actually just sort of say where you are at the moment. So I've given you sort of two main dimensions there, really. So are you confident or less confident with AI at the moment? And are you optimistic or pessimistic with regards to AI? Had we all been in a room together, what I'd have done is get you all to move to different parts of the room, actually. So in the, I mean, either you're welcome to come on the microphone if you want to, or you can just pop it into the chat to say where do you sort of feel that you are at the moment, because that gives me a feel about where people are at the moment. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. We're on the AI bit rather than the cat thing now, so so all numbers from now on represent the AI bit rather than how your cat feelings are. Okay. Does anyone want to, or is happy to just come on the microphone to sort of say why they're in their particular segment at the moment? So feel free to raise your hand if you want to, just to say why it is that you feel that you're in that particular box at the moment. Joe?
Yeah, I put myself kind of in the low box too.
Right.
Fairly confident because I do use it quite a bit for drafting things and getting, cutting out a lot of the time of the endless churning of getting things right and then work on it myself. And I hope we can start using it for the admin side of careers. It's kind of quite complicated though. The college pushes AI a lot, so I think that we'll have a lot of support for doing that. And then in terms of optimism, I think it's got loads of potential. I have got lots of concerns, so I'm sure everybody here is kind of sharing as well. So I'm a low 2.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you, Joe. Beth, did you want to come in as well? I know you raised your hand.
I think I was going to say something similar, really.
Yeah.
I'm confident kind of using it. I'm quite lucky my husband's quite good with AI as well. So, as a school, I don't think we're particularly confident generally, but I also think there's an element where we just don't know necessarily how it's going to be used. We can see students already using it in ways that aren't particularly helpful to them, but I can see how it would be quite useful with admin and planning and that kind of thing. We already do use it in curriculum areas.
Yeah. Thank you, Beth. I mean, I think, as you say, I think a lot of students have started using it already. They have it on their phone, have it on their laptops. They're potentially using it quite regularly. If they're set an assignment, some students will be putting that assignment in to see whether it can give them a reasonable answer. And the danger then is that it becomes a bit of a cat and mouse game where the students are then using AI to actually generate answers. And we also know that some tutors are also starting to use AI to try and mark some of the assignments as well to save some time. So again, there's a whole cycle going on at the moment. And I think, as you said, Joe, I think it's that ethical side. It's got both positives and negatives as well. So again, it's about getting the balance in there. When Mandy put the information out, I mean, we wanted you to try and get signed up to some of the common AI tools. I mean, I can demonstrate stuff on the screen, but obviously it's better if you can do stuff for yourself. So if you have got a tool that you've signed up for, whether it's Copilot or ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any of the other tools that you've got, if you are logged in, that would be really helpful, because what I'll do is I'll give you some prompts. I mean, we'll talk through them on the screen, but I'll put them in the chat box as well, and then you can paste them into your tool of choice and then see what actually comes out from it. So the first thing that we will be talking about is the importance of the prompt. I think most of you probably will have appreciated now that the secret really for anything to do with generative AI is the prompt itself. So the prompt is your way of communicating with the computer to say what is it that you actually want. The more specific you are, the better things will be. I was on a training course quite recently, and there was quite a nice analogy actually with wandering into a sandwich shop and just saying, I want a sandwich. So if you can imagine what would happen if you did that, you would get all manner of things. If you say, I want a sandwich on white bread, or brown bread or wholemeal or whatever, then it gets a little bit more specific. And if you then start specifying all the different things that you want in your sandwich, the better your sandwich is going to be. Prompting is a lot like that. So again, the more detail that you give it, the better the output is actually going to be. So think about it as a sandwich, really, in terms of, the more information you give, the better. The other thing I think with AI, or generative AI in particular, is that think about it as a conversation as well. So do think about it as almost someone sitting next to you who's there to try and help you. Again, with the prompt, the more information you give them, the more that they can help you. But also, it is a conversation. So it might be that the first time you say something to this person next to you, it's not quite right. So it means that actually you're going to try and refine that over the course of the conversation itself. This is very different to where we were when we were using Google prompting. So previously, you went into Google, you asked it a question, you got an answer, and then if that wasn't right, then you asked a completely different question, and so on. With AI or generative AI, it's much more like a conversation. So it will know what the context is because of the questions that you asked previously. So you don't need to keep repeating the question each time. You can keep refining it rather than starting again. And again, that's different to the way that you'd actually do a Google prompt. So treat it more like a conversation. So the first task that I've got for you, for any of you who've actually got anything open at the moment, and again, I'll copy it and just pop it into the comments box, so you've got it available as well. So what I want you to do is to just pop it, if you haven't already done this, it's sort of quite an interesting thing to do. So just write a biography for yourself. So obviously you're just going to pop your name in at that particular point. And if you're happy to, then just give it a bit of details about you. You don't have to, you could just go, just write a biography about me and then just see what comes up, because it may or may not find you. But again, if you think about the sandwich shop analogy, the more specific you are, the better the output is actually going to be from there. What I'll do is I'll do the same on my screen as well for those people who aren't logged in at the moment. But if you can try that for yourself while I'm doing it on mine, then that would be really interesting to get some feedback on how you're actually finding it for yourself as well. So what I'll do is I'll just bring across this is my prompting screen. And I'm using Copilot because this is licensed by the university. We're a Microsoft site, so this is obviously the sort of standard one that we've got. So I'm just going to say write a biography for Rob Howe of Northampton. Okay, I'm not going to give it anything more than that, so I'm just going to say, okay, just write a biography. And so what it's done is it's gone away and just had a little look and just to see what's in there. Okay, so I've already picked on you once, Joe, but if you're happy to say a little bit about your prompt and what came out.
Yeah, I typed in, hang on, let me just find, I'm using Copilot because I'm at work.
Yeah.
And I asked it to write a biography for Joanna Brown, who is the careers lead at Milton Keynes College. And mine's very different to yours, although we're both using Copilot. I haven't got all the kind of the bullet points and things. It's come through with 5 paragraphs, which are factually correct, you know, what I do and what my background or my education is. It's fulsome with praise and compliments, which is very nice, but I don't quite know, they certainly haven't come from my LinkedIn personally. Yeah, it's a bit cheesy. I think I prefer your one, which is more factual.
Yeah, there's different. I suppose there's different ways. Has anyone else managed to type it in? I know, obviously, Joe, you've got Copilot there. Has anyone else managed to tap that in and do that for themselves and reflecting on it at all? When I tried this with some colleagues at Northampton, actually, some people like yourself, Joe, said it was fairly accurate. Some people said it was way off the mark, and it sort of depends on how public you are, I think, with information. Beth, do you want to come in?
Yeah, so mine is, really factual, but it's just using what I've told it effectively. It's not taking it from anywhere else. But again, it's very complimentary. It's quite interesting though, because I teach geography and sociology, so because I told it that, it's put sort of, that I'm very interdisciplinary and can marry two together and all that kind of thing, which actually we do. So in terms of the factual side of it, it's great, but yeah, it hasn't gone anywhere else. I'm not really on the internet as much as I suspect people younger than me would be, but so it probably wouldn't be able to take much from anywhere else. Having said that, if I was able to have LinkedIn in a lot more depth, I do have LinkedIn, but it would probably be able to come up with something much better.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And I think I'm just looking at the experiences of other people. So I think for Maria, it didn't find anything. There's a few people that said didn't find anything, and I think you've sort of started to narrow it down. It's looking for information as best as it can. And it's obviously trying to be positive with that information. You will get that finding with AI. Do you want to come in? Sorry, I haven't got your first name. I've just got Fisher, but I'm assuming that your sort of surname.
Di.
Hi, Di.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself then. Yeah, it's Diane. Yeah, I did ChatGPT, and that's just really taken my LinkedIn. It's not put it into, I've got no subheadings like you've got on yours. It's just literally put like paragraphs together, all taken from LinkedIn from any posts that I've done.
Yeah, I think it's tried to piece things. Joe, did you want to come back in, or is that a legacy hand?
No, I've just tried you, Rob, just to see if I've got something different. And I obviously don't know how factually correct it is, but it's different to the one that you've got, even though we're both using Copilot. Mine says you're the esteemed head of learning.
This is the overly positive side of it, isn't it, really? I mean, you will find words and stuff coming in. I mean, what's quite interesting, I think, and what we found recently, and just thinking about it from a careers point of view, it sticks out like a sore thumb, where some of our international students have used it to apply for some of the roles that we've got at the university, because they're not always sure what's coming back. And if your grasp of English isn't brilliant, then actually you're going to miss some of these incredible words that get pumped into the biography. The other thing that, just while we're mentioning about applications and stuff that we're starting to see, we're getting people now that are putting the job advert and a little bit about, they might put their CV into it, and then they'll say, write a covering letter for that particular post. And it's the interesting thing that we found, particularly when we spoke to the students who didn't really understand what had been generated but submitted it anyway, was that it was claiming they could do things that they'd never even done, because it was seeing that on the job specification, because it was saying you need to have experience of doing X, Y, and Z. And so when it wrote the covering letter, that's what it did. It said, I've got experience of writing, because it does it in this very positive way as well. So it will generate stuff, and some of that stuff is dependent on what it can find. The more it can find, probably the more accurate it's likely to be. But I think you've all picked out that you've got this very positive spin that's coming through all the time. And also it's dependent on what's actually out there. So the other thing that you can do, so obviously we've gone into our sandwich shop and we've just said, give me a sandwich based on anything that you can find out there at the moment. You could make it more context sensitive. So what you could do is you could upload a CV, for example. So you might have a current CV. You could upload that into the tool of your choice and then say, generate a biography based on this CV. So what you've done then is you've localized the response. So it's not looking at everything that it can find on the internet, and it, sometimes, as with some of you, it's not found much at all. But what it will do then, it will localize it in the CV that you've actually uploaded, and it will write a biography based on that. So again, that might be useful for somebody that struggles to actually write clearly a biography based on facts about themselves. Perhaps they've done a CV, it's very factually based, but it's got no sort of human essence about it. So it might be quite nice to just run that through to at least get some text that can be read in a slightly easier way. At least it's a starting point. The other thing I think, and I've probably not put as much in here about that, but whatever output you get, treat that as a version 1. It's not going to be perfect, but treat it almost like it's a starting point. It's probably better than where you were before. For a lot of people, and particularly we're finding a lot of people that are sort of neurodiverse as well, people that had particularly, would talk about really having brain blocks in terms of not being able to think about what to actually write next for whatever reason. And whether you're neurodiverse or not, sometimes we all get that type of situation. So sometimes generative AI will just get you over that hurdle. It will just get you to that next point about where you are. In terms of prompting, this is one of the things that we've put out. There's quite a few variants on this now that you'll actually start seeing on the internet in terms of what's the secret of a good prompt. This is something that came out quite early, and a lot of the things that I've seen more recently are sort of variations of this. So this is something that we tell our students to actually work on. So we said a 4-stage process really to prompting. So first of all, what do you want to get from the tool itself? Why do you need it? What sources of information should be used? And then what do you want the output to actually be in? This is, again, it's very different from a Google prompt. You'd never have done this with Google, but actually with generative AI, this tends to be a way to start to get better outputs from there. So as an example, I put there, I'm a second-year university student researching the Industrial Revolution. So that is my goal. So that first bit there is my goal. I've then given it a bit more context. So I wanted to provide a historical list of the key dates that I need to research, actually, and actually from there. You've then got the next stage, the third stage really, which is where are you going to get the information from? So use academic sources rather than generic media, because we know that if you don't say that, it's going to go out, and some of you found this with your bios, and it's just found anything it can get its hands on, assuming that you've ever done anything publicly in social media or on LinkedIn or somewhere else. So it's gone out and got whatever it can get. So we're starting to refine it. If you had a document or a set of documents, you could say, just base it on the documents that I've uploaded rather than things that you've found more generically. So again, it's your choice how much you want to localize the prompt down. And then what is your expectation? So what do you want to get out of it? So please provide the output as a list. But you could sort of say a table, a graphic, whatever it is that is the most useful thing for you in terms of the prompt itself. Okay, so that's some sort of very brief backgrounds really on prompting. Okay, diving in a little bit more now. So this is something that we've been able to do for a little while, but again, some people haven't tried this. So we'll give it a quick try, and we'll just see what actually happens. So if you haven't done this before, and I'll show it, we'll do it on, or I'll do it on Copilot. You can do it on whatever your tool of choice is. And then I'll show you something else that can be done now, particularly with the premium versions of some of these tools. So again, what I'll do is I'll pop this into the comment box, and so I'll just format it a little bit because I didn't put a space in there. There we go. So that's the prompt that I want you to use now. So again, it's your choice of subject. So you choose whatever it is that that you want to do. So I'll do the same on my version, first of all, of Copilot. Okay. Again, I'm just putting that in. You can see that I'm just putting it into the prompt box. If I wanted to essentially make sure that this is a brand new conversation, so it doesn't remember anything about the fact that I did a biography earlier, what I could do is I could click onto the new chat button, so essentially start a new conversation. Because the danger is that, and again, if you think about it as someone sitting next to you, you've suddenly changed the subject, but you haven't really given it, or haven't given that person next to you any context to say, I'm actually talking about something completely different now. Forget all the things that I told you earlier. And so, you know, the danger is, I suppose, you know, people might get a bit confused and some of the prompts might look a little bit strange. So if I just say, I'm just going to create it on, take that out. So I'm just going to do a presentation on employability, 5 slides aimed at 19-year-old students. Okay, so something fairly quick. And then what it does is, you can see if I scroll down, it's suggesting now what my 5 slides are going to be. So again, it's yeah, I think Joe's sort of answered what I'm going to move on to next. Actually, it's almost like, okay, how can we do this? You know, in terms of actually creating the slides in this. So it's telling you, I think Joe's, yeah, I think Joe sort of hit the point actually. So it didn't create the slides; it just said what to put on each one. So I'm going to deal with yourself first, Joe, because actually you've hit the first thing that I was going to raise actually. So it's not giving you necessarily a lot of content on there. So what we can do now, remember, we're in a conversation now at the moment. So it knows that we've asked for 5 slides on whatever it is that you've chosen to do. So what I can do now, without even repeating the prompt, I can say add more detail on each of the slides. So I'm not repeating the prompt now. I'm just saying add more details on each of the slides. And then if I want to, I can sort of say exactly what it is that I actually want to do. So what it's doing now is it's adding some more information. It's gone back into each slide and it's adding some definitions, some importance, some objectives to it on the first slide, and then likewise for the other slides as well. Yep. So again, I'm having a conversation now with the tool to actually refine that conversation and to get it a little bit more specific. So you can imagine that. So again, from your perspective as people that might be doing preparation or presentations, what you've got is some content now that you potentially could put on slides. Obviously, it hasn't done the slides for you. If you were a student, what you could have done, obviously, is it would have generated what content should be possibly on some of those slides that you're going to do as part of a presentation as well. I think a few people have said actually it didn't do the slides, but probably the content is okay because what it's done, it's gone out. It will depend on the subject that you've chosen, but remember, it's searching anything it can get its hands on. So it's got a really good basis of what to do. Now, quite a few of you have said, okay, it created some okay slides. but it didn't actually, so it gave you the content for the slides, but it didn't actually create the presentation itself. So there are a few tools that can go to that next step, but some of them are what I would call premium tools. So Copilot at the moment there's two versions really of Copilot. You've got the free Copilot or Copilot Chat, or the one that's basically licensed for your institution if you are a Microsoft side, and then you've got Copilot Premium, and likewise ChatGPT. You've got the basic version, and then you've got the premium version. The difference is roughly £20 to £30 a month, roughly. So when you start going to the premium versions, then you're looking at paying about £20 to £30 extra per month per person to get that premium functionality. So just to show you what it looks like, so if I start a new slide deck here, so I'm just in PowerPoint, just going to create a new presentation. Okay, I've got Copilot Premium because we're doing some piloting on it at the moment, and we've got this little prompt at the top here now. So it can create a presentation, or it can create a presentation with a file. So I could chuck a Word document or a set of Word documents at it and say create a presentation on that, or I could just say create a presentation. And what I'll do is I'll actually use the same prompt that you saw previously in the basic version of Copilot, and that's what it actually will start looking like. As I say, there's a few tools that can do something similar. Some of them will do it for free, and some of them will do it free up to a point, and then obviously the whole point is that they want to generate some money from it, so they're going to do that. And you see the difference of what I get now compared to what you had previously is I've got the button down here that now says generate slides. So there's a button at the bottom that says generate slides. So it's generated the content for the slides, and now it's actually giving me the option to create the slides themselves. The nice thing about this is that it's actually adding pictures and graphics and stuff to it. They may not be the pictures that I want straight away, but what it's doing now is it's adding the content to the slides, it's adding the pictures, and you can see there it's actually building the slide deck for me from there. So again, when I've shown this to other people, they're along the lines of, well, actually that would have saved me, an hour or whatever of my time, even if it's not the perfect thing. It may not be the thing that I'm going to use as the final production, but actually if you start to add up how many times you have to create slide decks and then multiply that by the fact that to do it automatically would cost £20 a month roughly, then you can work out whether it's actually valuable to get this tool at the higher cost point. So that's what it does. So you can see there, I've suddenly got all of my slides actually set up within that presentation. So that's the next stage. I mean, you mentioned, Joe, it didn't do the slides, but it can do if you pay a little bit more for it, really, is the answer. And then it does a little bit more extra on top of that. So if you are a regular slide creator, it's worth sort of thinking about whether, you need a tool like that. As I mentioned, you've got the answer, and then you can refine it using various suggested prompts. The other thing can be quite nice to do. So again, presentations, that's one thing. So obviously that's quite a nice time saver in terms of generating stuff for yourself. This one's quite an interesting one. This is a persona for simulations. Sorry, did anyone want to come in there? You okay? No. This one's quite interesting. This is a personas for simulation. So for several years, we've been looking at companies that are selling us simulation tools for staff and for students. And with generative AI, you've actually got the ability to create scenario tools for yourself. So you can actually practice out with things, and actually with the people that you work with and you talk to, students and so on, you can actually get them to try things out as well. So again, I'll put this prompt in the chat window for you to just try out for yourself, and I'll also, again, you can change the details in here if you want to. So you can make the person older or younger. You can change the business that they're working on. You can change the number of questions and so on. But what this does is this turns your generative AI tool into a interviewer with a particular persona, and you can get it, to be as critical as you like, or as non-critical as you like if you want to go the other direction. So again, I'm just going to pop that into my tool. Okay, and if I scroll down, so you can see there that this is what this is doing now, is it's starting to give me some basic sort of questions. Okay, I'm sort of rushing it because I obviously I don't want it to necessarily do everything one at a time, but if you want to, there are 10 questions, and provide feedback on response after each of the answers. So each question should be asked one at a time. Let me just see if I can. I'll just start a new chat because the screen's looking a little bit busy at the moment. But again, you can just try this for yourself. Okay. So this is a little bit better. So first question, can you tell me a bit about yourself and your background in accountancy? Okay. So I think because it depends what tool you were using as to whether it recognized the fact that we said each question should be asked one at a time. So if you've got the thing where it did everything in one go, then just start a new chat, and then just try it again. Just paste it back into a new chat, and then it should do one thing at a time. So if I just say, I'm just going to be deliberately obscure on here, I'll just say I like numbers for this particular one. Okay, and what it said is that whilst it's nice to know that you like numbers, you actually need to give us a bit more background on your experience in accountancy, and then it's gone on to question number 2. So it says, can you describe a challenging accounting project and how you managed it? And I'm just going to say I gave up. Okay, and you can see that positivity starting to come out. So thank you for that honesty. So it doesn't say your answer's really horrible. It's always trying to be positive, which is quite nice. So you can see, you can imagine if you had a person in front of you and they said, well, actually, I gave up as soon as the scenario was put to me, and you're trying to be really nice to them. And you're saying it's important to acknowledge the challenges, but it's also crucial to demonstrate resilience and problem solving in the interview. So you can imagine the look on this person's face as you're talking to them now. And then it talks about reframing your experience and stuff, think about a different project, and so on. So it's trying to provide some help and support in that place. I didn't give it a lot of detail at the start, so I mean, if you remember what the prompt likes, if I just go back up to the prompt itself, I just said a 40-year-old interviewer in the accountancy business. So I didn't say much about the personality of the interviewer. So if you wanted to, you can refine that. Remember, the prompt can be as big as you want it to be. I've started calling them mega prompts sometimes. You can give a lot of detail in a prompt, and the more information you give at the start, the more interesting the conversation actually becomes. So you could say, I'm a 40-year-old, and then you could give a nationality, for example. So you could say, I don't know, an Indian accountancy business or an Indian marketing business, because actually there might be some variations in the way that they ask questions, the sort of context that they look for. I mean, again, think about it from your own experiences. What is it that you would actually like to give people the experience of? And then you just tell the AI to act in that scenario. So again, it can get as context sensitive as you want it to be, whatever it is that people want to get more experience on. Did anyone else have any other feedback on that before we move to the next prompt at all? So okay, hopefully it's worked okay now. I know the first time we tried it, I think it was like giving all of the, or trying to give all of the questions at the same time, but hopefully it's doing it one at a time now and then waiting for your response. I think we just needed to give it a new chat to actually wake it up along that line. Okay, next one down. So let's try some other things out, and then there's a little bit of time for questions. I didn't want to overload you with too many things, but I just want to get you to sort of try things out, really. This is something that I do quite regularly, actually, and you don't need the premium version to be able to do all of this, but I think these are things that I've found really helpful. If you're doing a meeting on, I'm going to say Teams, but you could be using whatever your preferred tool is. What you can do is, once you've got the recording sorted, you get a transcript of the recording that comes out. You can then copy and paste that transcript back into the tool, whatever the tool is that you're using. So Copilot, Gemini, ChatGPT, and you can say to it, generate meeting minutes based on this transcript. I'd recommend that you read the minutes that come out, because sometimes there's a few things in there that might take you by surprise about what it's actually said. It's normally pretty good, but if you're the sort of person that has always been saddled with having to take the minutes in a meeting, it's actually quite a quick way to get some meeting minutes out. I tend to chair and minute my own meetings in the most case, and for me this has been a really helpful tool to have running alongside me. The other thing you can do is you can ask questions of the transcript. So you can say, you could say, who was the person who spoke the most, who spoke the least, and all the rest of it. So it will give you some answers. It will bury down into the transcript. You can say, just generate the action points from the transcript. It will do lots of things actually from that. So is it Di? So, hi.
It is, yeah. If, say, you wasn't doing it on Teams and you were just having a face-to-face meeting, but you recorded it, say, on your phone,
yeah,
could you take that recording?
Absolutely, yeah. So,
and then,
so you've got some. Have you got access to Microsoft Office
yes.
already? So yeah, because most of us are probably licensed for Microsoft Office. So if you go into, so assuming that first of all you've got permission to make the recording, that's obviously the first stage actually in there. If you go into Office, so if I just show you this little feature, so I'm just going to move that to the side. Okay, so you've got to go. I haven't tried this actually on the installed version. So if you go to the Office 365 version, first of all, of Word. So if I just go into here, and then, so imagine you've got your recording. So your recording will be an MP3 file. It will be sitting on your phone or wherever it is, but it's a file, isn't it? That's going to be sitting there. It will deal with video files as well, but there's various other things that you've actually got inside there. So if I go to create you just go into Word. You go into the 365 version of Word. Hopefully it won't error next time. It's not happy enough. Just try and see whether it will let me do it. If not, then I will try it in a different way. It's not happy at the moment. It's always a danger with live demonstrations, isn't it? That something goes a little bit pear-shaped. Let's just try it in the. I'll just try it in the desktop version just to see if it's actually inside here, because it might have the functionality I need. What I'm looking for is there's a feature that is under the dictation tools. So I've got this on the ribbon here. You can see something called dictate, and then there's something called transcribe tucked in here. And what this does is, I'll see when it loads up. Hopefully you can see on my screen. Things are running a little bit slowly because I'm running a Teams session live at the same point. So I think that's probably why it's not very happy at the moment. So if you did this on your own machine, what would happen is under transcribe, there's an option that says upload a file. So that video or that sound file, whatever it is that you've created on your recording device, if you then upload that into this area of Word, it will then create a transcription from it, which is quite a nice thing to actually have. So, because that's the other thing that's a real pain, because we obviously do quite a lot of research and we do lots of recordings. And one of the problems is when you've got recording is that you've got to get a transcription to be able to do anything with it. So this feature is something that we really love, because it means that you get all of the transcription of your audio as part of your standard license as well. You don't need to, you could buy something like Otter, but this will do it under your Microsoft license. So this will generate, a really nice sort of transcript. So you'll get a transcript of your audio recording.
I had no idea that was there. That is really useful. That is.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, definitely make use of that one. And then what you can do is you can highlight all of that transcript, pop it into your AI tool, and then say generate the minutes from this and generate the actions. Real time saver, actually, in terms of doing that. So yeah, please do have a go with doing it. I'm sorry I can't show you, because I think because I've got Teams running, I think it's not very happy that I'm trying to do too many things at the same time. But yeah, for me that's a really useful one. Other one that you've got there, so other things that you've got, write a job description for the role of whatever you want, where the person's specification states certain knowledge, skills, and experience is needed. That's quite an interesting one. So, you've got some idea about what it is that you want to advertise, but you haven't written the advert yet or the job description. So use it to actually write that. And again, remember that thing about first draft. It's not necessarily going to be the final version. So, feel free to criticize it when it comes out, but just use it as a starting point. It might save you 5 or 10 minutes or an hour or whatever, scratching your head trying to work out what you need to do. And some of us have to write business cases as well. You might have to write a business case on, why you have to attend some training or why something's important and so on. Then again, that is stuff that you can do with it. Fun stuff that you can do, just to finish off. I quite like this one. This is one I used to love. I don't know about any of you. I used to love these adventure books. So I used to go into the shops, buy an adventure book, and it was the one that sort of said, if you are following this path, turn to page 22, and so on. It might be just that I'm showing my age, but I used to love those books. So you can do the same thing with AI. I'll just paste it in, and then Mandy, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I just wondered if you could also show. I remember the heads of sixth one, first presentation I came to. You showed how to add attachments to documents into searches, especially the PowerPoints, when you were rewriting them for different audiences, because I think that would be really helpful. And the website link and creating a policy from it. I think just if we've got time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So just correct me if I'm wrong, Mandy, but I think if I just go back to Copilot, was it using the paperclip or the add content to it, and then you can give it a little bit more context and so on?
Yes, please.
It was that one. Okay, that's fine. So, okay. So let me just give it a little bit more. So this is about grounding the discussion, so adding a little bit more to it. So if I click onto the add content button in here, we'll see if we can just find something sort of interesting. So let me just, so what I'll do actually, I will upload, I'll upload this presentation. So I'm going to upload the presentation that I'm showing you at the moment. Okay, but you could upload a policy or whatever it is. Okay, I can't do it because I'm sharing that at the moment. So let's go for, I'll go for the, go for one that I did yesterday. There we go. It's uploaded it in there. So it's all of the responses now are going to be grounded in the document that I've just uploaded. So I can just sort of say something like summarize this presentation. Oh, actually, yeah, I'm going to say for a 200-word blog posting. Because sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you've got a presentation, somebody said, oh, actually, can you write a blog on this, you know, and then publish that, and you're just like, oh, actually, it's just going to mean I've got more work to do. So let's just see what that does. So this is a presentation that I did yesterday, and so what it's done is it's pulled out stuff from the presentation and it's written it in the form of a blog. So this was probably about a 10-20 page PowerPoint actually. And what it's done now is it's taken that document and it's just created it as a blog posting now. But again, you could do this with your policy. So you can reverse engineer the policy. So you could pop a policy in, and then you could sort of say, create a plain English version of this policy, or create a version for an international student. Or what's quite fun actually is if you say, create a version of this policy for a 5-year-old and then see what it does. It's quite interesting how it changes the language in your policies so that a 5-year-old would read it. It's, you know, you can really push this quite hard, and you can get completely different versions from where you are at the moment. But yeah,
I mean, one of the things that I thought would be really useful to showcase, because quite often with career leaders, we might do something and then do it for different key stages.
Definitely.
Like presentations, it will save having to redo it, and maybe you know, and resources for different events and activities if you're trying to spiral them down. So if it's something you've done with like 6th formers and then you're going to do it for year 9 students, you might need to change all of those resources. So to save having to go through and do them, then that would be a really, really useful time saver, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can, and again, you can change the style. And I mean, you said that. I mean, that's actually quite a fun thing. The idea of doing it as a Black Country dialect, for example. So if I do that, so if I just say rewrite with a Black Country dialect, let's just see what it does with that. It can be quite interesting actually. Not. So it's changed hosting to hosting and things like that. There's more. So I've given it more of a jive feel now. So it's changed a lot of the wording now to sort of things like kicking things off, laying down clear guidelines and stuff like that. So again, you can change it for different audiences if you want to, and it will give it a try. If nothing else, it's quite amusing to sort of see some of this stuff actually coming through.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Is that okay?
The other bit you did was something on policy as well. It was about you were uploading information from like the school from a website and someone else on their policy, didn't you? Like the school. Yeah.
Can you give me a school? Can you give me a school that I can just you're happy for me to destroy with AI? What
schools have you got on the chat? Who wants to volunteer to have their?
Who wants to volunteer their school, and then we can just see what we can do with it. So if you give me a school.
Oh, everyone's gone quiet. Oh,
no, we're not really going to destroy your school. We're just going to muck around with the text.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, what school would you like me to use, Beth?
I'm at Kingswood Secondary Academy in Corby.
Okay, so was that Kingswood? Kingswood, is it?
Yeah, Kingswood.
Kingswood. So Kingswood Academy, Corby, yeah.
Kingswood Secondary Academy in Corby.
Kingswood. Did you say secondary, is it?
That's right. Let's hope it's good.
Okay, so I'm just going to say policies. So again, we can just see what sort of things actually come up. So it's going to look, I can probably if I give it a website address, then it'll probably be a little bit better, but we'll see what it does. I haven't even given it the website, so it's found the website, obviously, and then it's doing a summary of some of the key stuff that's actually from there. Does that look about right?
Yeah, that looks okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's just say, should I go to... Let's just see why, if it would recommend me to go to the school. There we go. It's saying what factors I need to look at in the school itself. But again, you can sort of you can get it down. So again, I've not given it a lot of detail, but you know, it's got me. So presumably that's your website address. So you know, I could go there and then I could sort of start extracting policies, and I could say, you know, do those things about writing them in different languages and so on. So you could do a Black Country version of the website, for example, so to try and attract people from Birmingham direction.
It's very clever, isn't it? It's very good.
So okay, I mean, what's nice is this. I mean, it's obviously the speed of it. I mean, and you will hear about the environmental impact. And I think when Mandy was at the session, we've started talking about the environment, and obviously, you know, there are machines working incredibly hard to generate the stuff that we're doing really quickly. So yes, there is definitely an environmental impact on the things that we're doing. The argument being now is that we should be using this to try and mitigate some of those problems as well at the same time. But again, you know, if it can save you some time, certainly we should start looking at how we can actually do that. Any other examples that you'd like me to? I mean, I know we've only got 5 minutes or so left, but is there anything else that you'd like me to try out, or any comments that you'd like to make? We've gone through things fairly quickly. Mandy's got a copy of the slides that can be uploaded or sent round to you, so you can try out things for yourself. And there was a few other examples on the fun things to do that you can sort of try out as well. But again, it's about just overcoming that initial barrier about using it in the first place. So just getting in to use it.
Can I just ask about presentations? Is it only Copilot that you can do presentations and you can't do?
No, there's a few tools that you can do presentations with. Let me just have a quick look. There is one.
Is it in chat? I tend to. I've sort of started with chat and not explored any others, so I probably do need to explore some. But
sorry, I'm just going to see. There's a particular one I'm thinking of. Don't know whether anyone's used some of these tools actually. I think it was Gamma actually. I was thinking of actually. Gamma is one of the tools that it's different to PowerPoint, and it is a well, it's what I call a freemium product. So you can create a certain number of slides up to a certain point, but Gamma is one of the ones that we've played around with before. So this is the thing that you would replace PowerPoint with actually. So you sign up for free, and you basically tell it what you want, and then it will create the slide deck for you. So if you can't afford one of the premium products, then try signing up for the free version of Gamma and then create your presentations on there and see whether it does what you need it to do. I think there's some limitations in the free version, but if you're not pushing it too hard, it might actually be okay for some people. Is that okay? Anything else really that you want to ask? You've got my email address. Mandy's got my contact details if needed, and I think there's a Teams chat area, isn't it? I think that we're potentially on as well. So tag me in if there's anything specifically that you want to actually ask. Really, I think the key thing is it's just prompting you ideas. It's like, oh, I've never thought of those sorts of things to do. That's what we wanted to try and do in this session, really. Just to try and make you think about AI a little bit differently, really. If you've never used it before, then definitely do give it a try and see what you can do.
That's great. Thank you so much, Rob. We really appreciate your time and
That's okay.
volunteering in
Thank you very much.
times. Hopefully it'll be useful. I'll get the slides out. We've got another hub bulletin that's coming out on Tuesday next week after the bank holiday, maybe Wednesday. So we'll make sure we put the slides and the recording in that for you as well. So yeah, thanks so much, Rob. And yeah, like we say, you've got your email address on there for contacts. You might be inundated by requests to do talks with students now, though, Rob. So I'm just pre-warning you.
Well, we try to help where we can do anyway.
Brilliant. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Thanks,
See you
all.
all. Bye, everyone.